We are back on the Skoda Octavia VRS3 project, guys. We have one Octavia, we have two Octavias, we have an RS3 engine and gearbox with subframe as well, and we've got a broken Octavia VRS 2-litre engine too. Now, for those of you new to the channel that haven't seen this video before, go click in the top right-hand corner, go watch the project up to date so you understand what I'm telling you. But a quick recap: good engine, bad engine, you just saw, good engine going in the red one, RS3 engine going in here. That's pretty much what we're doing. So in today's video, we're going to be stripping down the RS3 engine because this also come out of a damaged RS3. So there's actually quite a lot of damaged parts on here. So we need to strip those down, start ordering new parts. So when we get the white one in and the engine out of that, we can then fit this in all ready to go. But in between doing that, when we take the engine out of this one, which is good, I need to put it in the red one and sell the red one. Now, I don't know if I've just helped you or confused you. I think I've pretty much confused myself explaining all that. Yeah, just go with me. And for those of you asking about the GTR, it needs to go on a jig, which is what the hold-up is about. I was trying to get my own jig, but there's just not enough room really in this workshop to do that. So I have found someone local to me that's going to get it on the jig, but I'm just literally waiting for them to be able to do it.
Out on Compete for Cars now, guys, is the T-Roc that I just recently rebuilt. Now, this is HPI clear, low mileage, only a year old, so you've got manufacturer's warranty remaining. Tickets are only £1.99. Go grab them. Only 50% of the tickets are sold so far, guys, so go grab a ticket. It's a great little car, and there's also a £20,000 cash alternative if you don't fancy the car.
So yeah, as I said, we'll start off with the RS3 engine and start taking parts off of this, and I'm going to write a list, go to Audi directly, ring up and see how much they're going to pull my pants down for all new parts, because we need like rocker covers damaged there. We've got the turbo outlets and inlets, although I have a Dazza turbo.
Now, I just thought I'd pause it there because I keep saying the word Dazza and realise that not everyone's going to know what I'm going on about. Dazza relates to the engine code of the new facelifted RS3 8V engine. It has an aluminium block instead of an iron block, which is what this one has, and it also has a different turbo. Now, the turbo on the facelift, the Dazza turbo, is actually a better turbo and has better gains when you remap them, which is why I'm changing it to that. So now you know.
So I need to actually give them a reg from a facelift RS3 because we're going to need facelift intake pipes and intercooler pipes as well, because I think they're going to be slightly different. I also need to source a downpipe as well because, yeah, this one's no good because obviously it's a pre-facelift downpipe. We also need engine mounts, gearbox and engine. There is a few other bits. I actually just noticed a minute ago a bit of fire damage in here as well because that pipe's been burnt and there looks like maybe a few little flames in there. So hopefully that's nothing. I'm hoping that's just something's rested against, there we go, look. I think it's just something's rested against the exhaust when the crash happened. Probably this pipe actually, that would make sense. And it's got hot, melted, a little bit of a fire, hopefully nothing too bad. We need cooler pipes for the gearbox. We need a new gearbox casing because that's broke. Yeah, we're just going to go through everything and I'll try and get everything right. So when it comes to getting this engine in the car, it can go in and not have to come back out again.
So we'll start off by removing the intake, and that is the charge pipe that would normally go to the intercooler and the intake going from the airbox. Now, both of these are quite badly damaged, so we'll start removing those first. And that gives us access to our turbo, which is already in a bad way.
I think something either got into this turbo or it's not too healthy anyway. Because a little bit of play, I think it's alright, but yeah, it sounds like it's catching, so I reckon a bit of debris got in there and bent one of the turbines.
Then to get the rest of the turbo off, we just need to remove our downpipe, and then we've got to remove our oil and coolant lines which go to the block, and then also our exhaust manifold. Once we've undone the 5 bolts of that, we just need to lever it off and get it off the head.
So I'm glad I took the turbo off, and I'm glad I'm changing the turbo because this one is unserviceable. If you look at the cap, look at that. It looks like it's been peppered with loads of little bit of debris, which may have happened, but it also looks like it's got too hot and melted.
So I'm not too sure, really. But if we look at the turbo, from the face of it, I don't know what this white stuff is either. Is that coolant burning? I'm not 100%. But on the face of it, it looks all right. Look, turbine, impeller, both of them are absolutely fine. But as you heard a minute ago, you can hear that noise. And that noise is the turbine shaft catching on the top of the housing just up here. If you see at the bottom, look, there's a bit of a big gap, probably like a 1mm gap. Whereas at the top there is no gap. And that's that noise you can hear there. Is it catching on the top? But there's a little bit of play in it. And if I push it down, then, wait, it's hard to do. But I can get it so it doesn't make a noise at all. It's hard. So yeah, it does need repairing. That wouldn't be able to go back on the car like that. So luckily I don't really care because we're not fitting that anyway. We're fitting the Daza turbo, which we'll take a look at the differences in a moment. But otherwise, yeah, there's definitely been a little fire in here. Probably gone down there by the looks of it. I can't see any damage inside there. No debris either. Valves look okay. So I think we're going to be okay there. So I'm just going to put a load of tape over this in a minute. Tape all those holes up as well, because there's just a lot of dirt that needs cleaning off of this before we can do too much more. Yeah, I was hoping I could sell that turbo on for a couple of £100, but now I can't. Not the end of the world, I suppose. But yeah, we move on, we keep going and find some more broken bits. So already the bills are racking up. New oil cap, £33. New engine mounts and gearbox mount, I think about £190 for both. And these are, the oil cap's brand new, the engine mounts are second hand. New wishbones, I think was about £100. What else have we got? We've got the rocker cover, just bought a brand new one of those for £100 as well. And that is pretty much all we need to get the engine into position. Stuff like all these coolant hoses, wiring, etc. we can start working on once the engine and gearbox is in the car. Now, I've just been speaking to someone who has recently converted their CZGB engine to a Daza turbo, basically doing what I'm doing here. And thank you very much. He sent me links to what I need to be able to do it. Another £250 down the drain, but we need a few adapters. So what I thought, this coolant pipe here is interchangeable. So is this pipe here, the oil return pipe. It's these two pipes here that need adapters fitting on them. So they can fit into the engine. So yeah, £250 later, a couple of adapters. And also I need a new turbo actuator because that one is vacuum fed, the old one, whereas the new one is pressure fed. So I have to buy a new actuator to do that as well. So I think the actuator is the most expensive part. So yeah, parts ordered. Yeah, and things like the drive shafts, I'll probably send them away to be repaired and reconditioned, but they can be done, as I say, once the engine is already in the car. So now while we're waiting for the RS3 engine parts to turn up, we're going to get the white Octavia into the workshop. We're going to start stripping off the damage, basically most of the front end, and then we'll take the engine out as well. And then don't know how far I'll get in this video, but I'll speed up the process, fitting the engine into the red one. There's a lot going on. So good news, my LED headlight still works, so that's an absolute result. And I've just found out the hard way, well, I think, no, it's actually a good way. The emergency proactive pedestrian systems, do you know what emergency braking, is actually really good. And I didn't realise it works in reverse too. I was just reversing the car into the workshop and completely daydreaming about what I was going to film next, and I completely forgot I placed my camera there to film me reversing into the workshop. And as I was driving backwards, it literally just slammed on the brakes on me, flashed up on the dash, and works really well because it stopped me from running over my camera. So that works, and it works in reverse. So if you didn't know, you know. So removing the engine on this, we're going to do a little bit differently, but because of the front end's all damaged, I'm going to have to take off the front anyway. So I'm going to
remove all the bumper, the lock carrier, intercooler, radiator, and we're going to pull the engine out through the front. And we're going to have to do that anyway because when we're putting the RS3 engine in, it's definitely not going to be as simple. So I'm going to need as much access as possible to get it in, and there's no way I think I could raise it up through the bottom. So yeah, the whole front end of it is coming off. Now, just looking at the damage, it should be superficial on this. I don't think we've looked at it before. This is a category N car, but if you look at my, go and click in the top right hand corner when you've got 5 minutes, go watch the video I did on the Polo and the S1. Category cars are a bit hit and miss at the moment. We don't know what's going on. So it should be superficial. I think, ooh, a bit of body damage there. That should be a Cat S, I think. Yeah, so we're going to remove all this, have a look at the damage, but I think wing, headlight, bumper, few little bits behind the bumper, but it does drive straight. So yeah, so let's start stripping the parts down.
Now, because we're doing the engine transport, we need to remove as much as possible anyway. So we're going to start with the front wheels and both of the wheel arch liners. That just gives us a little bit more access to remove the bumper a bit more easily. And then once we got the bumper off, yeah, it was a bit of a mess. Couldn't really get into this corner. It was all bent up and round, so I ended up having to break the bumper just to get it off. But once we did that, it then come off pretty easily. Then we got to just remove the under tray and the few screws underneath the bumper holding it on at the bottom, and then the whole thing can just pretty much fall off.
And fingers crossed it should all just come off. Might be a bit harder this side. Oh, actually, I don't think we need to unbolt the headlight, will we? No, we don't. Oh, no, we do. Tell them by the wiring. Lovely old job.
And while I'm here, I thought I might as well remove the wing, as we've got to remove it anyway, and also the bonnet, as that's got to come off too.
Right, so the only bit of real damage is just this tiny little bit here that's bent. I am literally just going to bend that back. It is nothing wrong with just bending this back here. So that's now all the damage out. Now the only little bit of damage was I just showed you. I've just straightened it back up. Look, so that's now absolute spot on again. So yeah, the only other bit of damage is just this slam panel, which we're going to remove anyway to change the engine. So when I put it back together, we'll just get a new slam panel to put on. But otherwise, look, there is no other damage, which is good. So the crash bar at the front's intact. A little bit of foam missing, not too bothered about that. But everything else is all good, wheel arch good, everything else good. So that is all the damage now removed, apart from the slam panel. So what we're now going to do is I'm just going to carry on removing this slam panel, removing that headlight and getting the front end off. Now, luckily on the Octavia, the washer bottle is on the passenger side, so I haven't got any of that to worry about. And also the bonnet cable as well. So luckily that's all over this side. So yeah, we're going to carry on now and remove the whole front end.
And then to get the rest of the slam panel off, it's quite simple. Headlight out, I've got a few bits of wiring to remove from the front bumper, like the horns, etc. Then we've got the airbox, which is actually connected to the slam panel. Remove the whole airbox. We've also got the battery and the battery tray. We have the washer jet hose that sits up there as well. And then we just got some intake pipes, intercooler pipes, and we've got coolant going into the radiator as well. We need to drain the radiator. I normally tend to do this when it's too late and get coolant all over the floor. However, again, I've been proactive and managed to actually drain most of it into the oil drainer. So yeah, once we've got the radiator pipes off, got all the coolant out as much as possible, got the aircon guy in to degas the system as well, and then it's just a case of removing the crash bar, which holds on the slam panel, and then just pulling the whole thing forward. Now I'm just removing the battery and the battery tray, as we need to get rid of that anyway because it sits on top of the gearbox. But interestingly, because the RS3 engine is bigger, I think we're going to have to actually relocate the battery to the boot. So that would be quite interesting too.
Right, we've got some good and some bad news, but I'm pretty sure the bad news is going to far outweigh the good. New genuine oil cap has just turned up, so I can get rid of that and Just stick that on there for now, just so it's sealed. Well, just not getting anything in it anyway. Okay, that'd be right like that. So that's good, but yeah, quite bad news. And that's because I've just been working away at the top here, just starting to disconnect stuff, and I just started to go around this side of the engine to start removing the coolant bottle and stuff, and I noticed there was an additional sort of sensor here and a bracket, and I was like, well, I don't recognise that. I'm pretty sure that wasn't on the old engine. So I've just gone over to the old engine, and sure enough, there is nothing here at all. So I'm like, oh my God. Surely these are the same engine. They're both Octavia VRSs. One's a 68 plate, one's an 18 plate. Why would there be any different? So I just looked at the engine code, and this one, I don't know if you can see down there, you probably can't, but that says DKT in there somewhere. And this one couldn't be any more different with CHH. And usually engines, when they're like the same platform, but they just change a little bit of hardware or something like that, they're like CHH, and then the letter on the end of the engine changes, which I think denotes software, and then one letter down indicates a hardware change. I think it goes something like that, but we are not even close to that. We are just a completely different engine code altogether. So yeah, I think I'm gonna have to end the video there, guys, and work out if these two engines are now going to be compatible, if I can swap everything over, and if I can't, I need, I've got quite a big problem. So I'm going to end the video there, guys, a bit prematurely, but I need to now work out what I'm going to do. I hope you did enjoy this video. There was never going to be a straightforward project like this. It was never going to go to plan. This was always going to be on the cards, something holding us up, and yeah, we've encountered our first issue, but as I say, it's good content because it shows the reality of doing stuff like this. Nothing's ever easy, nothing's ever given. There's always going to be problems on the way. So yeah, please do subscribe if you haven't seen these videos before, guys. And I shall see you in the next one. I'm going to try and get the VRS project out one episode a week, maybe on a Sunday. And then during the week, I've got some other stuff to film as well. So while I'm waiting for parts for the RS3 engine to turn up as well, I'm going to try and get out like 2 videos a week. I know I keep saying it. It's going to be very difficult, but I'm going to try and do something like that. So yeah, I'll catch you in the next one, guys, and hope you've had a good weekend. Cheers, guys.